Hello there, Yang Sai. Do you know what Yang Sai is? Yang Sai means young scientists. So I will be calling you Yang Sai. It is because you'll be a future scientist. This is Teacher Mike, your science teacher 10, and we will be talking about the lessons in quarter 4, module 3. Did you remember your lesson in grade 9? You have learned that the bonding characteristics of carbon results in the formation of larger variety of compounds. And in this lesson, you will learn about compounds which are essential to our life. Today, we will be discussing about biomolecules. So our objectives of this topic are, first, we have here identify the elements present in the biomolecules such as carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Second, you can describe the structure of the 4 major types of biomolecules. Third, you can recognize the importance of biomolecules in our daily lives. So at the end of the lesson, you have to meet these objectives. So listen carefully with our discussion. Are you ready? Very good. So this time, I want you to identify the missing letter of the required terms in its number. What do you think are the terms in number 1? Yes, very good. This is nucleic acid. How about number 2? Yes, very good. It is protein. How about number 3? Yes, this is lipid. How about the term in number 4? Yes, very good. This is carbohydrates. So, this time, we have to identify the different elements present in the biomolecules. There are 4 classes, major classes of biomolecules in our body. First, we have here the carbohydrates. Second, we have the second biomolecule that is essential in our body is protein. Next, we have lipids. And the last one, we have nucleic acid. So these are the different biomolecules that we are going to talk about. We will go back to the first one, which is carbohydrates. For carbohydrates, it can be a monosaccharides, a disaccharides, and a polysaccharides. For monosaccharides, it can be a glucose, a fructose, and a galactose. Monosaccharides, meaning it is a single sugar. Saccharides came from a Greek word, saccharon, meaning sugar, and mono is one or single sugar. Have you noticed the different elements present in monosaccharides? Yes, these are, we have carbon, we have also hydrogen and oxygen. From glucose, fructose to galactose, they have almost the same elements present in this molecule. But have you noticed the structural formula of its monosaccharides? Do they have the same structural formula? No, it's not. It is because the glucose, it has 6 sides on its cyclic ring, while in fructose, it has only 5 sides on its cyclic ring. So therefore, they have different structural formula, but they have the same elements present in its molecule. Have you noticed that the number of carbons, hydrogen and oxygen from glucose, fructose to galactose have the same? We have 6 carbons, 12 hydrogen, and 6 oxygen atoms. So the molecular formula is C6, H12, and O6. But they differ on its structure. That is for monosaccharides. How about the difference between glucose and galactose? Did you spot the difference between glucose and galactose? Yes. As you notice, on the fourth carbon, in glucose, the hydrogen is bonded on top, while OH or HO, that is hydroxyl group, is bonded below. If you are going to look at the galactose, in the 6th carbon, the OH or hydroxyl group is bonded on top or above, while the hydrogen is bonded below. So that is the difference of glucose and galactose in terms of their structural formula. Now, let us go to disaccharides. For disaccharides, we have sucrose, lactose, and maltose. For sucrose, it is a combination of glucose and fructose. For lactose, it is a combination of galactose and glucose, while maltose is a combination of glucose and other molecule of glucose. So have you noticed the structural formula of disaccharides? It is composed of 2 molecules of sugar. That is why it is also called as disaccharides, meaning 2 molecule of sugar. Next, we will go to the polysaccharides. In polysaccharides, still, we have the same element present in each molecule, but they differ on its structural formula. Because in polysaccharides, it is composed of many molecules of sugar. That is why it is also called as poly, meaning many, and saccharides, sugar, meaning many molecules of sugar. That is beyond 10 molecules of sugar. How about if it has only 3 to 10 or 2 to 10 molecules of sugar? If that carbohydrate is composed of 2 to 10 molecules of sugar, then that is called oligosaccharides. From 3 to 10 molecules of sugar, that is oligosaccharides. If we have only 2 molecules of sugar, then that is disaccharides. If we have only 1 molecule of sugar, then that is monosaccharide. Can you now spot the difference and similarities of the different structure and elements present from monosaccharides. This time, to polysaccharides, we will go to the second essential biomolecules in our body, and this is proteins. So this is the structural formula of proteins. Have you noticed the different elements present in proteins? Yes, it is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes it is composed also of sulfur. So we have 5 elements present in proteins. We have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. Its acronym is CHONS. For carbohydrates, its acronym is CHO, CHO. For proteins, its acronym is CHONS, CHONS, meaning carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. So these are the different elements present in nitrogen. Can you now identify the different element? Of course, it is very simple. Next, we will go to the third essential biomolecule in our body, and it is lipids. These are the different examples of lipids. We have lauric, myristic, palminic, stearic, oleic, linoleic, linolenic. We have also arachidonic. So these are the different examples of lipids. And they have also different chemical formula or structural formula. But they have the same element present in its molecule of lipids. Its lipids is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and nitrogen, and we have also sulfur. In its acronym is CHOPINS. CHOPINS. It's no, that is CHOPNS. CHOPINS, meaning we have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, nitrogen, and sulfur. How about for the nucleic acid? For nucleic acid, this is the structural formula of a nucleic acid. We know already that nucleic acid, it is a building block of our DNA. Have you remember the components of DNA? It is composed of the phosphate group, we have a sugar group, and we have a nitrogenous bases. So that is also found in nucleic acid. It is because the nucleic acid also is a building block of our DNA. So, what are the elements present in the nucleic acid? So we have you seen? These are the different elements present in the nucleic acid. These are carbon, we have also hydrogen, we have oxygen, we have also phosphorus, and we have also nitrogen, we have sulfur. So, lipids and nucleic acid are almost the same elements present in its structure. So since you know already the different elements present in its biomolecules, I want you to answer activity number 1. So this is your activity which you are going to pass on April 11, 2024. What you are going to do, you have to answer it in your one whole sheet of paper. You have to copy the questions and answer it. At the same time, after answering the guide questions 1 and 2, you have to copy and write the table below. We have here the table. So we have here directions. Copy the following table in your, not in your notebook, but in your paper, one whole sheet of paper. You have to identify the elements that make up the following biomolecules. You have to put a check mark if the element is present and X if it is not present. Okay, example, carbohydrates. If you can found carbon in carbohydrates, then mark it check. If you can't find, then mark it X. The same as true with hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, until nucleic acid. Again, you have to write it in a one whole sheet of paper. Answer questions number 1 and number 2. Copy first activity 1, then copy and answer questions number 1 and 2, then proceed to the table below. You have to write and answer the table in a one whole sheet of paper. So that is your activity number 1. Activity number 1. You have to pass it on April 11, 2024. So this time, we are going to proceed to the different monomer in a biomolecules. For lipids, we have here the polymers of lipids are called diglycerides, triglycerides, and its monomers are fatty acids. Again, the polymers of lipids are diglycerides and triglycerides, and its monomers are fatty acids. The polymers of protein are known as polypeptides. Again, the polymers of proteins are known as polypeptides, and its monomers are amino acids. Now, let us go to the monomers and polymers of nucleic acid. The polymers of nucleic acid are DNA and RNA. The monomers of nucleic acids are nucleotides, which consist of nitrogenous bases, the pentose sugar, and the phosphate group. So these are the polymers of nucleic acid. We have DNA and RNA. The monomers of nucleic acids are nucleotides. Let us go to the polymers and monomers of carbohydrates. The polymers of carbohydrates are polysaccharides and disaccharides, while the monomers of carbohydrates are monosaccharides or simple sugar. So these are the different monomers and polymers of its biomolecules. So what you are going to do in your activity number 2, you have to pass it also on April 11. You have to pass it on April 11. You have to copy and answer activity number 2 entitled monopoly. You have to copy this one, then you have to answer. Okay, you have to write the letter only. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you have to write the letter of the correct answer. but be sure to copy the questions. Okay? Then you have to answer also assessment number 2. Assessment number 2. So, read carefully and understand the directions. You have to complete the table below by supplying at least one example of monomer, which is with its polymer for its macromolecule. So what you are going to do, you have to identify the different monomer of lipids. You have to write here on the second column, and the polymer you have to write on the third column. Okay? So, that's all our discussion today. So I hope you have learned something. This is your teacher, Teacher Mike, signing off. Thank you for listening.